Let's have a discussion. People have questions. They would like answers. Let's talk about the issues. Confront the things that may be difficult to address. The Black narrative. Peace, brothers and sisters. My name is Steve Muhammad, and you are tuned in to the Black narrative. And we're on the NNV News, the National Network View. And today we're going to be talking about basically the summary executions of Black men and Black women by the military apparatus called the police. And with us today, we have student minister and author and producer and principal, Brother Abdul Muhammad. And I would like to greet you, brother, in the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum salam, my brother. I want to thank you all for having me on the show. I definitely appreciate the opportunity to talk to our people about these critical issues that are going on with our people all around the country.
Absolutely. And just to get into, before we get into it, as I was saying, you know, principal of the year, a producer. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, you're such a dynamic brother. We just want to know just a little bit about Brother Abdul, and then we'll get right on into this.
Brother, you know, well, I came into the Nation of Islam after reading the autobiography of Malcolm X. When I read the autobiography of Malcolm X when I was a junior in high school, and I was so impressed. That's not even a descriptive enough word. By the autobiography, that I made up my mind as I was reading the autobiography that I wanted to join the Nation of Islam right then and there. So that was when I was a junior in high school. When I became a senior in high school, in April of 1990, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan came and spoke at the Omni in Atlanta. And he was on the Stop the Killing tour at the time. And he did a lecture called Add It Up. And you know, I heard that lecture. Of course, I was definitely impressed by what I heard and what I saw. And, you know, I came there because I wanted to join the nation. So, you know, the rest, I'm giving you the quick version. Yes, shortly thereafter, I came in the Nation of Islam. I was at Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which is a historically Black college. And some of the brothers there, I came into the mosque down there in the city of Baton Rouge. And my major, you know, like most young people, when they go to college, they don't really know what they want to do with their life, you know, because we're distracted by so many different things. And a lot of times, you know, Allah's plan for us has to reveal itself to us. It's, you know, it doesn't come, you know, we don't come with an instruction manual saying, well, this is the purpose of your life. It reveals itself, right, over time. So when I came into the Nation of Islam while I was in college, you know, at that time, I wanted to major in business management, not because that's what I wanted to do, because that's what everybody else was doing. That's right. Everybody said, look, you know, I'm majoring in business management. It sounded good. You know, you want to holler at a young lady. You don't want to say, I don't know what I'm majoring on. I'm just, you know? So I just say, look, I'm majoring in business management. You know, right. I came in the nation, and the brother, Minister Abdul Rashid Muhammad, allowed me to speak one day at the mosque. And I enjoyed it so much, and I became an assistant minister, that I changed my major from business management to education. So I graduated from Southern with a degree in education. Came to Chicago, worked in Chicago public schools. I wasn't principal of the year, but I was teacher of the year. And I was for the city of Chicago, as well as, and I was nominated several more times after that, as well as nominated for the Golden Apple Award twice. But, you know, this is, so my entire adult life, I've been working with young Black people in Chicago. That's all I know. That's all I've worked with. My entire adult life is young Black people. Right. So, you know, that's just some background, but some of the things I do, like if you talk to my students over the years, you know, they love me to death. Every place I've ever gone, I've worked in some of the so-called, and I'm saying so-called worst schools in Chicago. And you know, Allah has blessed me to go in and represent our teachings very well. So,
absolutely,
you know, and the love that I have from the students that I've taught over the years is the evidence that what we've been given by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad works 100%.
Absolutely. Thank you, brother. And
thank
you. You did a tour, you know, jumping right into just
yes, sir.
Where you left off. You did a tour, a Stop the Killing tour tour. What can you share with us? What did you talk about, and how was it received from the audience?
Brother, so I will say that I just want to give some background, because what inspired the Stop the Killing tour, you know, as a student minister and a helper of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, you know, we're always trying to do more to help and to save our people.
Yeah.
And I had two of my students were killed in Chicago. One was killed. His name was Warren Robinson. And Warren was killed by the Chicago police. Now, this brother may have weighed 100 pounds soaking wet with Timberland boots on and 20 rolls of quarters in his pocket.
Wow.
He ran from the police and asked, and they chased him. He hid under a car. And as he came from under the car, they shot him and killed him. So that's the first incident. Maybe 2 weeks later, I had another student named Chris. And, you know, when we were growing up, we would go through the neighborhood and we would check the car doors to see if the car door was open. And if it was, I know I did it. I mean, I don't know about your viewers, but I did that. So I just talk about myself. And then you steal whatever you're going to steal and you keep it moving, right?
Right.
So him, his brother, and another young man were students, and they were doing this. And when they went to a car door, the alarm went off. A brother comes out of his house, shoots Chris in the chest, shoots his brother, his blood brother. No, his blood brother didn't get shot. The friend got shot in the ankle. They all spread out and ran in separate directions. The Chris's brother went home. The young man who was their friend went home, and they couldn't find Chris. They found his body on the side of a building. He bled out on the side of a building. So I'm sitting in my office, and I'm asking myself, like, man, because these two killings came back to back. And so I asked myself, well, what can I do? Like, what can I do more than what I'm already doing? What can I do to help the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan? So after I talked it over with a few people, I said, look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to as many cities as I can, and I'm going to talk to as many young Black people on the theme of Stop the Killing as I possibly can. So that's what I did. So I started to call brothers and sisters across the country. And the more cities I went to, then the more it picked up. And I will say this, every city that Allah blessed us to go into, when I would talk to the captain or the minister, I would say, look, don't invite me to your city if all you're going to do is have me come and speak at the mosque on Sunday. I don't even want the invitation. You can just play a DVD and save the believers money, right?
Right.
Said, you invite me to your city, I want to go out in the streets, go after our people and invite them to the mosque. This is the condition. So every city that I went into, by Allah's grace, and the brothers and sisters in those cities would bear me witness. Every city. We went to Raleigh, North Carolina. It was a Friday. I got off the plane on a Friday. We went in the streets on Friday, talked to the Crips and Bloods in Raleigh, came to the mosque Friday night, and the mosque was standing room only. I think they had like 90-something first timers.
Wow.
Then we went Friday, after Friday, we drove up to Greensboro. And this was during Ramadan. We went out all day Saturday in the street during Ramadan, came back, broke fast at the mosque after sunset, came to the mosque on Sunday. It was like 2 rows of guests. And I said to myself, well, we did what we could do. But by the time I finished speaking, it was standing room only. Every city that we went, I went to where Tamir Rice was killed in Cleveland, Ohio.
All right. And
we went to Cleveland. We did a Stop the Killing tour there. We spoke at the mosque. The mosque was like everywhere we went. And I always forget the name of this city. I know they're gonna get mad at me. We went to Newport News, Virginia. All of these cities that we went to, every city without no exception, every city that we went into, and we went into the streets first. When we came to the mosque was packed on that Sunday, every single city.
Wow.
The thing that I wanted to share with the brothers and sisters, I got to say this, we went to Rialto, California with Minister Kareem, and we soldiered all day Saturday, came to the mosque on Sunday, and the mosque was packed. And I always forget the city on the East Coast. I want to say it's in either Virginia or North Carolina, but I always forget the name of the city. And because at a certain point, it just becomes a blur. But we went out on Saturday. We soldiered all day Saturday. They had a banquet that evening. I spoke 15 minutes at the banquet, came to the mosque on Sunday, and we had like 125 first timers at the mosque. I mean, you couldn't move, you know, but that's from going into the street and doing the work. We did it in College Park, College Park, Georgia, everywhere we went on the Stop the Killing tour, where we had the opportunity to go into the streets, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan asked us to do. When I came to the mosque that Sunday, the mosque was packed. So now, the thing that I wanted to warn our people in the Stop the Killing tour, especially the young people, is what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was saying when I came in the nation in 1990, that there's a plan by the enemy to murder and kill Black people. And when I was on the Stop the Killing tour, and I'm still on the tour, but when I was going into these cities, I was saying from the minister, from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that the killing of Black people is not going to stop. I used a scripture from the Bible, and I'm going to give it to you real quick.
Yes, sir.
That I said in every city, and that is in the book of Matthew 24, verse 6 through 8. It says, and this is what I said in every city, you will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There will be famine and earthquakes in various places. Then Jesus says, and these are the beginning of birth pains. Now, when I would talk in these cities, I would say, well, you know, when a woman is pregnant and that first contraction hits, that doesn't mean the baby is coming. When my son was born, my first child, we, from watching television, we thought, oh man, she had the first contraction. We started packing everything up, jumped in the car, got to the hospital, and had to wait 23 hours for the baby to come, even though the contraction came. But what happens when that pain gets closer and closer and closer, then you know the baby is about to be delivered. So what is Jesus saying? What are we seeing when we turn on the television? And every day, every day, sometimes multiple times in the day, there's a different Black person being killed, a different Black person being murdered, different Black person being shot down. And it's happening not a Rodney King, and then a few years later, this happens, right, where it fades from memory. It's happening back to back to back to back. These are the birth pains, because Black people have misplaced love for white folks. And until Allah creates a circumstance, which he is creating, that is very painful, right? And we're never going to want to separate from white people. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who've been teaching us from the 30s, has always said that separation is the best and only solution. And we've done everything that we know how to avoid the solution that every prophet and messenger gave to their people. So here we are in 2020. I was at the Million Man March. And if we would have said then, look, we're going to separate from these people, where would we be today?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm only using that as a marker. But the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan have given us the solution, not from the president, not from a senator, not from a preacher who's being paid by white people. They've given us the solution from God himself that God has always used when you have an oppressor and the oppressed. The solution is separation in a land of your own. So this is what we said, among other things, on the Stop the Killing tour. And it was received well in every single city that we went into by Allah's grace.
Yes, sir. And so, you know, that, man, I mean, that's so much. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in 2007, he did a lecture, Justifiable Homicide, Absolutely. Right? Now, Black youth in peril. Now, why are Black youth, why should we separate? Why are Black youth being targeted, particularly the Black male? So brother, you know, and I said this on the Stop the Killing tour, that in the book of Exodus, right, Pharaoh has a plan, and that plan, and everybody knows it. Like the people who go to church, they heard about Moses and Pharaoh. People who don't go to church just go on Easter, because every year the 10 Commandments comes on during Easter, right? So all of us know the story
of Moses and Pharaoh, the thing that we refuse to recognize, right, is that there is no historical record of any people being in bondage in Egypt for 400 years, building the pyramids. Egypt has the longest recorded history of any nation on the face of the earth. So if there was a record of some people being in bondage for 400 years, then Egypt would have that record somewhere. There is no record.
Right.
So if it's in the Bible and the whole world, Allah has allowed the world to know this story, it's in the Holy Quran, right? Is the Holy Quran a lie? Is the Bible a lie? Or is the story of Moses and Aaron and Pharaoh not a historical narrative, but a prophetic thing that's going to take place? So with our people, we look back in the past when this story is really about today. And what is it? It's the story of a Pharaoh that the Egyptians never called their king Pharaoh. The Greeks are the ones that named the leader of Egypt, gave him the name of Pharaoh. It's a Greek word that means the one who lives in the big house, right? Or the one who lives in the double White House. Because the Pharaoh of Egypt, he was the ruler of Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. And the Pharaoh lived in a palace called the double White House. So when the founding fathers set up America, they set up America, and the president, right, who is the real Pharaoh, they didn't call it the White House as we say because it's painted white. That has nothing to do with it. They called it the White House because these founding fathers who were Masons and Shriners, right, and studied our history, they named the house of the president after the house of the Pharaoh in ancient Egypt. That's the Greeks name Pharaoh, right?
Right.
So then the question is, do we have evidence that we can point to where we have the Pharaoh president in the White House planning the death of Black people? And that's what the most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches. This is not me. This is not anybody. This is God and what he revealed to the most honorable Elijah Muhammad for our benefit. So if you study President Nixon, Nixon was the president that said, and it came out, that he was going to wage war on Black people, that he's in the White House, right? Saying to his chief of staff, listen to this. This is a quote from Nixon. The whole problem in America is really the Blacks. The key is to devise a system that recognizes this without appearing to do so. So what are we looking at when we look at mass incarceration, right? What are we looking at? We're looking at a system that says Blacks are the problem. You can't come out because Black people have woken up to a degree. So if we come out and say, you know, we hate Black people, we want to do everything we can to destroy Black life, then Black people who are conscious enough will rise up against that. So then we can't do it like that. So we have to make laws, right?
Right.
Create policies, and the policies destroy Black people's lives without us having to come out of our mouths and say that we hate Black people. So
say that
again. As Nixon said, the key is to devise a system that says Black people are the problem without appearing to do so. So Nixon is the one that started the war on drugs, right? And then from Nixon, that war on drugs was continued by Carter, right? Then from Carter, it was continued by Reagan and escalated, right?
Right.
Then when Reagan was in office, they started to lay the foundation of mass incarceration, right? Because when Reagan came in office, I think there was 200,000 Black people in prison.
Right.
1,000 people in prison, right? Now it's 2 million. And about half of them, maybe 50 or 60% of them are Black. It's because of what Nixon said. Nixon laid the foundation when he said the whole problem in America is really the Blacks. The key is to devise a system that recognizes this without appearing to do so. So what are you looking at? When you see the police pull over a Black person, right? And he has his FOID card, and before he can pull it out, then he gets shot, right? Or you can have Skittles and iced tea. You could be
it don't matter. That's right.
Like walking the dog while Black. Now we have video of white people calling the police, and the police come and kill black people. But we didn't have video in the time of Emmett Till.
That's right.
All of these incidents that have happened in our past, we don't have the video or the audio of the white people doing what they've always done,
right,
to inflict damage on black people's lives. But I'm telling black people that this is straight from the Bible. This is Pharaoh. Nixon is Pharaoh, and all the other presidents that came after him were pharaohs in the White House plotting the death of black people.
Now,
so when you have a legal system, right?
Yeah,
they passed a law, right? With mass incarceration, and when they passed the drug laws, then if you're caught with 5 grams of crack, then you automatically get 10 years in prison. You caught with 5 grams of powder, then you get probation. They tried the crack case in a federal court. They tried the the cocaine or the powder case in a state court, right? So this is them saying that black people are the problem without appearing to do so. When we look at voter suppression, you got to have an ID, you got to have a light bill, you got to have all of those things. It's saying what? Black people are the problem, but I can't come out and say that. So I have to make it real slick, where we suffer the consequences of hatred without them coming out and saying that they hate us. And it's not Republicans and it's not Democrats, because they're both the same.
That's right.
The same coin.
That's right. And thank you, brother, because I mean, you point out that these laws, 3 strikes you're in, mandatory.
3 strikes, you go to jail for the rest of your life.
Right.
When they end welfare, which Clinton did, Clinton passed the 3 strikes. Clinton ended welfare. So these are things that are intentionally done, right, to destroy black people, right?
Yeah.
Because Nixon said the whole problem in America is really the blacks. The key is to devise a system that recognizes this without appearing to do so. Then it came out that Nixon in his White House said that he was going to wage war on black people. He said, we can't make it illegal to be black, but they still wanted to wage war on black people. And this has been the policies. So when you look at a Hillary Clinton talking about a super predator, right?
Right. Right.
In the early 90s, it's the same thing. I'm not going to say that. If you go back and get that clip, I'm not going to say black people. I'm going to call them the super predator. And then we get lost as a people, not knowing that they're talking about our children.
Right. Right.
It is because, as the minister has said, that black children, our youth, are the strongest generation that we've ever produced. And I know that people agree, disagree, have an opinion, about everything that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says. But I'll say, I've been working with young black people for all my adult life, brother, for 20 years.
Yes, sir.
And I will say, it's nothing wrong with our children. There's nothing wrong with black children at all. The problem in our community is not our children. It's not them sagging their pants. It's not them wearing dreadlocks. It's not them listening to rap music. It's not them smoking weed. It's not them popping pills. That is not the problem in our community. Is that we have not, as adults, we have not done our responsibility by our children.
Come on.
That's the problem. It's not the children. There's nothing wrong with them.
So
and
that
I see them every day, and I'll tell you that.
So that leads us really, you can continue on, because that leads us right into our next question, which is, you already stated that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has said that, this is the most powerful generation that we've ever produced. However, right, that their power is being manipulated.
Absolutely.
And one of the main tools of that manipulation is the music industrial complex.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about that and how that is used to as a tool to sway our young people?
I'm going to share this quote that I say when I'm on the Stop the Killing tour, and it's a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Because they wanted to, when the riots happened in 1966, the media, we, like all of us, have these fantasies about black leaders who we say we will follow when they're dead.
Right. That's right.
But when they're actually alive, we not really trying to follow them. Listen to what Martin Luther King Jr. They wanted to blame Martin Luther King Jr. and the Civil Rights Movement for the riots that took place in Watts and across the country in 1966. And so Martin Luther King Jr. in 1967 wrote this. He said, 1 million words will be written and spoken to dissect the ghetto outbreaks. But for a perceptive and vivid expression of culpability, I would like to submit 2 sentences written a century ago by Victor Hugo. He said, if the soul is left in darkness, sins will be committed. The guilty one is not he who commits the sin, but he who causes the darkness.
Yeah.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So when we look at our children, right, and we look at the music and the movies and the television shows, all of these things that they have access to at their fingertips, the guilty one is not the one who commits the sin, because all our people are victims. We was born. The Bible said that we're born in sin,
right,
and shaped in iniquity. We were born in a world that's already doing evil. You want to blame Chief Keef for killing? So my question that I ask on the Stop the Killing tour, give me 1 second because I have a problem.
Yes, sir.
My question that I ask on the Stop the Killing tour is, was there black on black crime before Chief Keef and all these drill rappers were born? They in their 20s. You trying to tell me that black on black crime just started with drill rap or gangster rap? Black on black crime, quote unquote, has been with us for a long time. And I have evidence that I'm going to show.
Yes, sir. Pulling, as Dr. Wesley said, getting out the receipts.
So I have here, brother, a 1979 issue. Can y'all see that? I've got it all up in there.
That's good.
1979 issue of Ebony magazine. And in that Ebony magazine, the cover is entitled Black on Black Crime: The Causes, the Consequences, the Cures, right?
Right.
So now, every city I go into on the Stop the Killing tour, I put up on the screen the stats of the homicide rate from 1979, right? And the homicide rate today. The way and the homicide rate in 1979 was higher than it is right now. But we would have, the media would have us think that black on black, quote unquote, black on black crime is a relatively new problem and that it's out of control. We killing each other right and left. Absolutely not. The homicide rate in New York City, I have it right here, in 1979 was 2,092 homicides in 1979. And about half of those were black. In 1995, the year of the Million Man March in New York, there was 1,515 homicides. And in the year of 2013, there were 333. If you get the actual facts, not what white people are telling you, but if you get the actual facts and you look at the homicide rate across the country from 1995 to right now, with the exception of 2016, it's gone down every year. Every year from 1995 all the way to right now, with the exception of 2016, the homicide rate has gone down. In Chicago in 1979, there were 856 homicides. And in 1995, there were 823. And in 2013, there was 415. If you get the actual facts, the highest year in Chicago that had the highest homicides was 1974. They had 979 homicides. The second highest was 1994, the year before the Million Man March. But if you look at the actual facts, the homicide rate has gone down every year since the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan convened those 2 million black men in Washington, D.C., and then sent us back to our communities to put in work on behalf of our people. So now, the question we have to ask is this, brother, and this is what I asked on the tour. What kind of music were we listening to in 1979? There was no gangster rap, right? There was no drill rap. We would listen to Frankie Beverly and Mays and the Jackson 5 and Luther Vandross, somebody like that, right? But the thing that causes black people to kill each other is that we lack the knowledge of self, because knowledge of self does what? Produces love for self.
That's right.
And when you love self, then you won't kill self. Now, I'm not saying I don't want anybody to misconstrue what I'm saying. I don't want you to think, oh, well, are you saying that us killing each other is not a problem? It's an absolute problem. But instead of walking out of the door condemning young Black people because you think that they're killing each other at these alarming rates, let's look at the actual facts and see that, because, brother, all of us have been putting in work for years. You mean to tell me like none of the work we've been doing with Black people has been paying? You mean the ministers' work and all these other Black leaders' work and Black organizations, you mean none of that has had any impact on Black life? The reason that the enemy is so adamant about making the music filthy and the television shows filthy and inserting all of these contrary ideas into music and TV is because of our impact in our community. If we weren't having an impact, he would not have to work as hard. What does the Bible say in the book of Revelation? The Bible says that the devil has come down with great wrath because he knows he has but a short time. And the reason he has a short time is because we've been teaching our people the truth, which is what we have to continue to do. So he's taking control of the music, right? Taking control of movies, right? And the more he tries to take control, the more he loses control because Allah is frustrating their plans. So the music, the movies, the television shows, social media, all of those things, the enemy has tried to use them according to his plan, right? The Holy Quran says that the devil plans and Allah plans, and Allah is the best of planners.
That's right.
Now, music, movies, television shows don't have the same, because of social media, don't have the same type of impact, right, as they once had, because everybody's doing their own thing. You know, like, I don't know when the last time I watched actual television. Who does that anymore, right? So, like I said, brother, the enemy plans and Allah plans, but Allah is the best of planners.
No doubt. No doubt.
Elijah Muhammad is the and the minister are the #1 teachers of Black people of the knowledge of self. And that, even though they're not in the mosque, that's the goal is not necessarily to get them in the mosque. That's great if you decide that you want to change your life and become a registered Muslim. But the goal is to get our people to love one another. The goal is to get our people to see that separation is the best and only solution. The goal is to get our people to see that we have to own some of this earth and we have to do something for ourselves. Whether you're in the mosque or not in the mosque, that building, the earth is the mosque. So everywhere you are, you're there.
And you know what, brother? That's the goal of each and every individual as they're growing up. They want to be independent from their parents.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So this is the mentality. This is not nothing that is strange.
Right.
Want to be independent as a people. This is the thought of a maturing mind.
Absolutely. So and as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us, brother, life begins as separation. Once they don't record you as being born into the umbilical cord is cut, and you've been separated from your mother. So that is where life will begin for Black people when we decide that we have to unite and do something for ourselves and separate from our open enemy.
So since we're talking about separation, let's break down what we actually need to separate from. I mean, you did a powerful lecture, and people can get it if you want to talk about your website.
Yes, sir.
Well, you did a powerful lecture called The Architecture of White Supremacy.
Yes, sir.
So can you break that down and break down, you know, why we should separate and what would we separate to?
So let me just, because when our people hear separation, a lot of us get afraid, and there's really no need to be afraid. You know, we talk about a nation within a nation, right? There are 250 nations within the United States right now. So when we talk about separation, it's not a concept that white people do not understand. It's not a concept that Native Americans don't understand, because a lot of those 250 nations that are in America right now, as we speak, right, and have a memorandum of understanding between that nation and the United States on how they will cooperate and operate with one another, right? You mean to tell me that Native Americans can have their own nation within this nation right now and black people who number 40 to 50 million, right? And who built the country from the ground up, that we can't have a nation within our nation, within the United States right now. Give me 1 second, my brother.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So white people are not against separation, because if you go ask them right now, do you support the Kurds who are in northern Iraq being separate from Iraq, right, and Iran in a land of their own? The United States will say, yes, we support that. When you go down to Panama, Panama was a part of, I want to say, Colombia, right? And when they wanted to build the Panama Canal, the United States sent agitators down there to advocate for the separation of that part called Panama from Colombia so they could build the Panama Canal. When you look at North Korea and South Korea, they're separated because they were not able to resolve a dispute. So white people believe in separation. In fact, white people believe, we teach separation, but white people practice separation.
That's right.
Because when we moved in white neighborhoods, what did they do? As soon as we moved, all of these neighborhoods in Chicago, all these inner city neighborhoods in all of your cities used to be white people. And as soon as black people started to move from the South to the North in all of these various cities, when black people moved in, what did white people do? White people moved out. They built the suburbs from the ground up because white people believe in what? White people believe in separation more than we do. They talk all of the talk, right? But ask them, when you leave the meeting, when you leave the Black Lives Matter rally, where are you going? Are you going to live in the black neighborhood? Or are you just visiting the black community for a rally, but you really are not living? So after that, it's moot. So brothers and sisters who are listening, when we talk about separation, we're already separate. We're already separate. There is and when I go around the country, I'll put this on the screen. There is a map that was done, and you can look it up. It's called the racial dot map, where the cartographer or map maker has a dot for every person, right, of every race in the United States. So I think blue might be for white people, green might be for black people, yellow might be for Spanish, whatever it is, you can look it up. But once he plots everybody in the United States on this map, I think red is for Asians, then it becomes very interesting, because you see, like if you look at Detroit, 8 Mile Road, black people live on one side, white people live on the other side. It's crystal clear. There is no integration as people fantasize about. So we're already separate. I'm in Chicago. In Chicago, black people live on the south side. Black people live on the west side, right? These are the black areas. You have your Hispanic areas. You have your Chinatown. You have your Koreatown. You have all of this. You have Little Italy. You have the little Polish area. Everybody has their area that they own and control. The difference is, when you come to the black community, what do we own and what do we control? We're like a colony. We're controlled by somebody on the outside, and they want to dictate what happens to the people on the inside. The police are like colonizers, right? Enforcing their law or their unjust law for people from the outside who do not live in the colony. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So when we talk about separation, we're already separate, so don't get it twisted, like where are we going? But now, if we really want to have a nation, we have to have land that we control. We're tired of being beat up. We're tired of being killed by police. We're tired of being the first ones fired and the last ones hired. We're tired of no legislation being passed that gives black people tangibles. And we think, some of us think, that there is an argument that we can present, that we can string enough words together and put them together in such a way with documentation and research that we can bring this argument to white people, and something in their heart is going to change towards us, and then they're going to give us all the things that we think we deserve.
Right.
You're over 440 years. It hasn't happened yet. If you seeing black people being laid out and murdered and little children being killed, if that hasn't changed your heart, then what's going to change it? There is no argument that you can formulate, no words that you can put together, no research that you can bring that can convince a person whose nature is to treat you wrong and to do evil, there's no argument that you can bring. Bring an argument to the dog and convince him not to bark. See how that works out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So the point, brothers and sisters, is that if we want to be free, right? Not if we want to have license, because freedom and license is two different things. If we want to be truly free, and freedom means you have to act with responsibility, then we have to put our money together while it's still worth something. And we have to buy land that we own, that we control, right? We have to do what the Mormons did. They all moved to the same place. They set up their rules, their laws, their government, and they run where they live from top to bottom. Every other race, every other ethnic group has done it. Black people have not done it for many reasons. For many reasons. I'm not blaming black folks, because of a lot of outside interference that has led us to where we are right now. Right. I'm going to end with this. I'm going to let you ask your next question. Right after slavery, black people set up over 60 towns. I'm looking for the book because I want to bear witness.
Right.
People set up over 60 towns separate from white folks after slavery, because we knew then that they were the enemy. The question that I'm asking black people is, where are the 60 towns that black people built for black people after slavery?
Good question, brother.
Real quick, my brother.
Right. Yes, sir. Take care. Take your time.
I got it right.
So we're here with Brother Abdul. Okay, good. Yes, sir.
In this book, can y'all see that?
Just stick it up on the screen and we'll, there you go.
So in this book by Elliot Jaspin called Buried in the Bitter Water, he talks about these black towns that black people built after slavery and how white people went in and systematically destroyed. We talk about Rosewood. We talk about Black Wall Street. There were over 60 other towns that black people built that we don't know anything about in Forsyth County, Georgia. I'm from Atlanta. And when I was in 5th grade, I had a friend of mine who went to my school, but was from Forsyth County. And he told me, he said, yeah, my grandfather had to kill a black man because they won't allow you to stay. If you're black, they won't allow you to live in Forsyth County. Now that always stuck with me, right? When I was in college, Oprah had a show. And one of her shows was in when she got her show. She did a show in Forsyth County, and they have these towns called sundown towns.
Right.
Where if you're black and you're in the town after sundown, they will kill you, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a book called Sundown Towns that you can get that talks about it. Yes. So now, but what happened in Forsyth County? It's the same thing that happened in all of these places. A black man was accused of raping a white woman. The white people came in with guns and murdered the black people wholesale, drove them out of Forsyth County into Atlanta, right? A major city, and then sold the black people's homes to one another for $1. So what happened to black wealth? Black wealth was destroyed by white racism.
Yeah.
So now, and I know the Negro is going to say, see, that's why we don't need to be in a land of our own.
Right, right.
White people, no, you still catching hell. You need to be in a land of your own, but you need to protect the land that you're in. So, brother, as the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, separation is the best and only solution. We're suffering right now because we have not heeded those words.
Yes, sir.
So, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother. I mean,
thank you.
Whew. And once again, you know, as we take this little break, I want, if you can, talk about your website, how people can get your lectures, how they can contact you, because I think that young people all over America, they need you. You need to be brought to their city.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. So absolutely. My Twitter is on the screen, but you can visit my website, MTech Films, EMTEC Films, FILMS. .com, mtechfilms.com. Most of my lectures are on the website. It will be updated. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you want to reach out to me for the Stop the Killing tour, I mean, now everything is kind of shut down due to COVID, but we can definitely work something out in the future. Then you can hit me on, direct message me on any of those social media websites. I have a YouTube page. You can just type Abdul Muhammad. My YouTube page will come up that has clips from my various lectures as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother. And as we begin to close this out, and I'll be honest with you, I think I, along with those who are viewing, could probably go all night with this. But we want to just, because the way that you break things down in your lectures are so powerful, because you just use mathematics to show the absurdity of the way that we were mistaught, misled. Can you talk about the resurrection of the dead? Many of our people, of course, believe that literally. So can you break that down for us, what that actually means?
The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, in the Message to the Black Man, but it's on the back page of every Final Call newspaper, and was on the back page of every Muhammad Speaks. He said, we believe in the resurrection of the dead, not in physical resurrection, but mental resurrection. We believe that the so-called Negroes are most in need of mental resurrection, therefore will be resurrected first. Then he says, we believe in the resurrection of the righteous. So now, as Muslims in the Nation of Islam and the Muslim world, the Christian world, the Jewish world of spookism is not going to agree with what I'm about to say. The resurrection of the dead is not referring to anybody that's in a cemetery that has already died. I hate to hurt your feelings if you're a viewer, and but we have to tell the truth.
Absolutely.
Once your physical life is over, you're not going into heaven to live with Tupac and Jesus and Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and Nat Turner. That's not going to happen. Once your physical life is over, that is the end of your life. So nobody is coming back from the cemetery back into a body to live, right? So let's just deal with the spookism that we've been taught. So what we've been taught, brother, is that on the day of resurrection, everybody who has ever lived in the history of the world is going to come back to life, right? So now there's 7 billion people on the earth right now. And as we're taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the earth is not 6,000 years old or 1,000,000 years old, or as they say, 3 billion years old. The earth has been here for trillions of years. So now the question is, how many people have lived in the history of the planet Earth? But now let's say, okay, you mean all of those people who have ever lived in the history of the world are coming back? Come on. Now you read the Bible, and in the Bible, Sodom and Gomorrah, all of these places in the Bible are destroyed by God himself. You mean God gave down a decree of judgment, and his decree was death? You mean those people coming back too? But they already were judged by God, and he sent them a prophet. They didn't listen to the prophet, so God killed them. He's going to bring them back to be judged again? It doesn't even make any sense. So now, there's no life after physical death, right? The resurrection of the dead is not talking about that. We've been taught that we're all going to stand in front of God on the resurrection day, and that a big screen, flat screen, plasma, 4K television, sitting on a cloud, and God is going to be there judging us one by one. He's going to pull out, not even a DVD, he's going to have your life on the stream.
Right.
He's going to sit, you're going to sit next to him on the cloud. God is going to have his remote control, and he's going to play your life and pause it, right? And then ask you questions, right? Now, let's say you live to be 70. Ain't no fast forward. We got to play every second of them 70 years. And he's going to ask you questions. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? Why did you do this? As if you can say something that's going to make God be like, oh, okay, well, that's a justification. And then at the end of that, after he plays your life, right, and y'all both watch it, while all the billions of people are waiting for their life to be played on the television, then God is going to say, either you're going to heaven or you're going to hell. It doesn't make any sense. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that if you believe in life after death, if you believe in a heaven in the sky, then when you get sick, why do you call the doctor? Why are we crying over COVID when people die from COVID? What are we crying about if they're going to leave this life of pain and suffering and go to a better life? Now, we've been in enough situations as black people, where we in the club, everybody's having fun. The music is blasting, whatever. Somebody come in with a gun and start shooting. Nobody just stands around. You see people jumping out the window, running downstairs, doing backflips, stomping babies, right? Why? Right. Because everybody knows instinctively within themselves that we only got this one life to live.
First law of nature. And
the first law of nature is self-preservation. You turn on a light, if you got roaches, right? What happens? The roach stays still. Then it starts to run because the roach got common sense.
Right.
The roach knows it only got one life to live. You turn on the nature shows and you see the antelope and you see the lioness, and the lioness is sneaking up on the antelope. Then they start to run, right? Now they know somebody gonna get caught. All the antelopes know. Every last one of them know. Look, one of us is gonna get caught, right? But every last one of them is saying what? It ain't gonna be me.
That's right. So,
if we instinctively know that we only have one life to live, then why would we let somebody lie to us? Where did the myth? It's a myth,
yes, right?
That was started by Washington Irving, that there's a devil in the ground with a pitchfork and sticking you in and making you go in the fire. That's a myth, right? It's a myth about a heaven in the sky and a hell in the ground. There's a book that you can get, because I know you know Negroes always ask, can you prove it? But they never ask white people to prove anything. We never asked white folks to prove it was the heaven and the hell. They got telescopes right now that can see past the sun, past the moon, past the stars. Telescopes so powerful that the white man says he can see into the past. But we never asked the white man, with all of his so-called knowledge, all of his scientific advancement, we never asked the white man to prove to us that heaven and hell is real. Never asked him. But as soon as we say that it's not real, that the white man lied to you, now Negroes want proof. We only want proof because what we really want is to know, is there any white people that agree with what you say?
Right.
That's when a Negro asks. That's really what they ask. Now, the only truth we accept comes from the lips of a white man. And it's unfortunately, it's still like that today. Now, there's a book called, I'm trying to remember the name of this book. It's by Charles C. Cook. And it's called The Religious Instruction of the Negro. That's the name of the book. All of this stuff is information you can get. It's called The Religious Instruction of the Negro. And in this book, The Religious Instruction of the Negro, one of the slave masters says that teaching Christianity to black people was more valuable to him than a what do they call them? A cab, not a cabin load, but not a train load, but what do they used to ride? Those caravans?
Yeah.
A caravan full of horse skins. That's what the one of the slave owners said. Why did they teach religion? Why did they teach Christianity to black people? Because they found that it made black people more docile. In that book, The Religious Instruction of the Negro, the author talks about this catechism that they made black people who were enslaved, that they made them take. And in that book, he talks about, if you do good, meaning you do what the master says. This was the catechism, that you will go to heaven. Then they ask me, well, what is heaven? Oh, it's sweet, and I'll be there with Jesus. And if you don't do what the master says, what's going to happen? And the black person that was enslaved was supposed to answer, I'll go to hell. And what is hell? I'll burn forever. How you going to burn forever and never burn up? That doesn't even make any sense. And what could you do in life that was so evil? We're talking about a just God. But what could you do that was so evil that you burn forever? Forever is a mighty long time. You see, so it doesn't even match up. But now, once we bring science to the witness stand, right, then the science also bears witness that there's no heaven in the sky and that there's no hell in the ground. Like I said, we have telescopes that can see past the sun, past the moon, past the stars. And the white man hasn't seen heaven. You haven't gone on NASA's website and seen a picture of heaven. I know what Negroes are saying right now while I'm talking. Well, see, brother, you can't see heaven with a telescope. You feel me? You got to understand the spiritual realm, brother. And you got to see it's like a force field. How you know and you've never been? See, force field, and then you work through this force field, and then you're going to be in heaven.
Man, comic book.
Yeah, so that's just you trying to justify the lie that you've been told because you had no facts to back up what you're saying, right? So now there's no heaven in the sky. the most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches, and there's no hell in the ground. They say, well, hell is 10 times hotter than the sun. Well, how hot is the sun? We're talking the sun is 14,007 degrees Fahrenheit on the surface, right? So that means hell is 140,070 degrees Fahrenheit. The sun is 93 million miles away from the earth. And just the other day, there was a record broken in California with in Death Valley with the hottest temperature on earth from a sun 93 million miles away.
Yep.
You mean to tell me, they say hell, where is it? It's in the center of the earth. Okay, well, how far away is that? The diameter of the earth is 7,926 miles. Radius is half the diameter. It means that the radius is 3,963 miles. So you mean to tell me that hell is only 3,963 miles away, 4,000 miles away from us, 10 times hotter than the sun, and you can't feel the heat from hell on your feet? Man, that's crazy as hell. What are we talking about? We let the white man lie to us. When it snows in Chicago, they don't say let the heat from hell melt the snow, because they know that if they don't get out there with them snow trucks and remove the snow, it's going to be a problem.
That's right.
Negro who's going to tell you that it's a hell in the ground, let that same Negro tell him, look, man, no, we ain't shoveling no snow. We just going to wait till the heat from hell is only 4,000 miles away.
That's right.
In the sun, let's just wait for hell to melt the snow. Yeah. The same Negro that's going to talk me up and down about being a heaven in the sky and a hell in the ground, pull a gun on the Negro and see does he stand there and let you shoot him. See, does he go visit his mom in the hospital when she gets sick and pray that she don't die? But I thought she going to a better place.
Right.
All she got is bills right now. So what are we talking about? We're walking because we've been lied to by white people. Most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us there's no hell in the ground. Right. There's no heaven in the sky. It's conditions of life on earth. How do we know? When you have money, good home, and friendship in all walks of life, you're living in heaven. You lack all of those things, you're living in hell. And when we talk, what do we say? If I don't have no money, what do we say? I'm broke as hell.
That's right.
I go outside and it's hot. What do I say? Man, it's hot as hell. Yeah. I go outside and it's cold. What do I say? Man, it's cold as hell. You see a woman and she's beautiful. You say, man, she fine as hell. You see a woman or a man and he ugly. Like, man, he ugly as hell. She ugly as hell, right? Letting you know what? It's not a place you go, but conditions of life on earth. So the white man lied to us, so we would work 400 years for them for nothing, thinking.
Come on.
We would get our reward in heaven after we die. Now, after you die, can you come back and say, man, you lied?
Right.
Absolutely not. But he told the lie to somebody we trust, grandmama, great-grandmama. And the person we trust unknowingly told us the lie.
That's right.
Honorable Elijah Muhammad being taught by God and Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, they come and tell us the truth. And sometimes the truth doesn't sit right with us, but the truth cannot be refuted. You can't refute with facts. You can refute with emotions. You can't refute with not a single fact that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan have said anything wrong in anything, but in regards to heaven and hell. So I'm going to end with this, my brother.
Yes, sir.
John Paul II. I don't have it. I got it, but I have to go through a lot of papers. But it's 2020. You can look it up. In 1999, Pope John Paul II came out 2 separate occasions, and he bore witness that there is no heaven in the sky and there is no hell in the ground. The Pope said, this was in 1999, that heaven and hell are conditions of life on earth. He said that when you have a relationship with God and Jesus, you're living in heaven. And when you lack a relationship with Jesus, you're living in hell. Now that's the Pope in 1999 bearing witness to what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said in the 1930s. Why? Because we've been teaching this truth so strong and so hard that the Pope himself
that's right
bow down and recognize it's the truth. So brothers and sisters, we waiting to die and go somewhere when we need to live and build something for ourselves and build something for our children and create a heaven. Are white people waiting to go to heaven? Leave the hood. Leave the hood right now, wherever you are, and drive to the white neighborhood.
Yes.
Play your music loud because they might shoot you. Like they did our brother in Florida for playing his music loud.
That's right.
Go to the white neighborhood and see how they live. Are they waiting to die to go to heaven? Or do they have heaven right now while they live? So why are you waiting to die? To go somewhere because you've been lied to by white people. White people are not waiting to die to go nowhere. They experience and enjoy heaven while they live. because there is no hell in the ground. There is no heaven in the sky after you die. When you die, that is the end of your life. I know it's hurting your feelings. It hurt mine when I first heard it.
Right.
But it is the truth, and sometimes the truth hurts.
Absolutely. Thank you, brother. I mean, that's a good way to close on out. There was just one other quote that I can remember, just backing up what you said. And I can't remember it exactly, just paraphrasing it, but it was something to the effect of, when the white man came, we had the land and he had the Bible, but something about how it changed around, and he had the land and we had the Bible.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. So as we close out, is there anything that you would like to say in the parting words? And once again, we want to thank you for coming on, because we know that you are a very busy individual. We had the math doctor on, him as well. So is there anything that you would like to say as we close out?
Brother, I want to thank you all for having me on the show. I want to thank all of your listeners, your viewers. I want to thank all of our people. And, you know, we might have said some things that maybe did not sit right with you, or that maybe you didn't understand. But I would just encourage all of us to study the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, as taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, so that we can get a better understanding of ourselves, and that as a people that we can do for self, and that we can separate and build something for our children and for the future generations of our people. I definitely want to thank you for having us on the show.
Thank you.
I appreciate the invitation, and I would love to come back.
Absolutely. We definitely, absolutely, because we only touch, it's like they say, it's just the tip of the iceberg, the knowledge that you have to share with us. And we definitely want to have you back on. So we appreciate you to come back on to the program.
Praise be to Allah. So the website again is mtechfilms.com. That is the website. Twitter is on the screen, at Brother Abdul. I'm also on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. You can find me on all of those social media networks.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate it.
Yes. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
And so we want to encourage everyone who is watching this interview, this conversation, this discussion, please share this with your family, your friends, your associates, all the programs that we do. You know, we did the one on the Great Famine last week. We've done a number of different programs. Share them with family and friends. Help wake our people up. You know what I'm saying? What brother shared with us is it's irrefutable. You can't argue against it. You know, we see everyone who is doing something for self. So why are they talking this integrationist talk for the black man and black woman while they're separate into in a heaven of their own? So with that, I want to thank everyone for tuning in to NNV News. Please share your thoughts in the comments below on Facebook, on YouTube. That's important. When you're on YouTube, subscribe, hit that subscription button, and also like the video. All of this helps us to do what we do here at NNV News. Follow us on social media. Just type in at NNV News, and please subscribe. Once again, I'm your host, Brother Steve Muhammad, and this is The Black Narrative. May God bless you and your family with the light of truth and understanding. Peace be unto you.